Is this transformation even possible?
Sometimes I wonder if we really have a clear vision of the final outcome.
A lot of different things to consider. I mean, one of them is, people. Do we have the right people on the ground to do this?
Will the change be sustainable? That's what I want to know.
Wonder how this is going to translate into real dollars.
It comes down to will the consultants deliver the value?
I didn't get home last night until 10 o'clock. I mean, we're already working hard. How much better can we possibly be?
Well, when we roll this out to the front lines, what resistance will we face?
We've gone through change programs before. How's this one going to be any different?
I like to listen. I like to listen to what people are saying. I like to observe things literally in the pit, in the mine itself. Really understand what's going on behind the curtain.
And it's not necessarily what people say, but sometimes what you see too. And that sounds really, really easy, but it's something that I think people oftentimes forget to do.
I'm a big believer that data matters, but it's also not the whole story. And so really talking to the front line and hearing how their day-to-day life is impacted by what we're seeing in the data makes it all the more purposeful.
Once we define the metrics that will monitor the change, we need to ensure that these metrics have visibility at all levels of the organization.
We created daily and weekly scheduled interventions and really discussing performance, but also discussing non-work related things. And the amount of trust that we were able to build in that organization between the leadership and the floor was really outstanding, and the results were very quick to follow.
Transformational change doesn't happen overnight, so each day I go in there knowing that I'll have the opportunity to maybe change one person.
We show the line managers and staff how to get from good to great, and then once they embrace that and we put the tools in place to make that sustainable, that's when we deliver the value.
We set production records, I think 40 days out of the last 120 that we've been there.
We were able to reduce contractor spend by 30%, and it was a savings of nearly $100 million.
We aim to get the profitability of certain product categories higher by about 10%. We saw upwards of $50 million, which was almost double the target that we expected.
We've had an impact at each and every site of about 50% more production, and that's monumental for a business which spends more than $1 billion a year in their program.
As an organization, because the sales force is better at selling and better at driving profit, the entire corporation as a whole is going to drop more than $100 million to the bottom line.
We were able to increase their operational efficiency by 50%. This allowed them to not only avoid the coming investment of over $50 million, but also allow them to eliminate the weekend overtime.
When you come into a client, it's like going into someone's living room and changing up all the furniture in the middle of the night. So you definitely want to make sure that everyone's bought into this process and everyone understands what's going on, and they're part of this change.
The first and most important part is really to think of all the different people who are going to be impacted.
Most of the time, a frontline manager is bogged down in the details, so he just needs help. He's getting things thrown at him from corporate left and right, day to day. For a senior leader, what you want to do is build understanding. You want to understand that these large-scale actions you take will cause a ripple effect through the organization.
It's about having all levels of the organization going after a common objective.
And you need to take them on this journey of change with you, as opposed to imposing recommendations on them. And you need to certainly change your attitude towards rewarding people when you change culture, in that you need to be more proactive in recognizing people who have come on board with the change.
We start thinking about sustainability from the time we start an engagement, oftentimes before we start an engagement.
I think the most important thing for ensuring sustainability is that we both together co-create the solution.
The most common question I get asked is this going to be sustainable? And everybody's looking for a matrix or a check sheet to make this project or initiative sustainable. The key to sustainability is leadership engagement.
Well, the first things we're looking for is who are the client's change agents that we can bring onto the bus, that we can work with quickly, work alongside them so we can do deep analytics together, we can role model the right behaviors together, so that we have a sense that when we start to disengage from that area of the work, there's client capacity and capability already in place to continue pushing that piece.
And I think part of this job is kind of working yourself out of a job with the client. One time recently when I really saw this, working with a pharmaceutical company doing an operations transformation and really trying to focus on performance management, and they hadn't had anything that was deeply rooted, and people were scared. As we started to work with them, the people started to really get involved because they realized that they were raising issues that were getting solved so much faster, and it was making their job so much easier. We were able to really just step back.
It's a very measured approach. This is not about a Hail Mary, it's about good everyday progress towards a goal.